Hello and welcome to the first edition of the Javelina Coaches Show in 2021. My name is Mark and Sarah. Thank you so much for tuning in. Normally, in the past, we've taken pride in bringing the Coaches Show to you at Javelina Nation at different spots around Kingsville. But this year in 2021, we're doing it a little differently, but we're still extremely excited to be able to bring to you a Javelina Coaches Show again. And our first guest to start us off is the head coach of Javelina men's basketball, Johnny Estelle. Coach Estelle, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
My pleasure.
Now, it was just last night we were talking about an 84-46 win for your team over A&M International that put you guys at 5-1 in the conference. I know that you guys still have 14 games left to go. I don't think anyone's doing cartwheels over a 5-1 start just yet, but how happy have you been with your team's beginning to this season through the first quarter and change?
Well, anytime you win, it's going to be an exciting time. Everyone's mission is always bigger than one win, but you can't win a championship unless you win a series of games. So, as you know, but I like where we are now. I thought that we grew from that first game back. You're always going to have those first game jitters, and basketball is a unique sport. You have a mandatory break of 7 days there that you have to be off, and then you come back and you almost have to not say start over, but you have to look at your team and see how much did they do over the break, and and see how much more adjusting you have to do going into conference. But being that we started conference and only conference this year, had no games to kind of warm up or kind of look at your team before then. I like where we are. I love our chemistry. I love our effort and intensity. These kids have dealt with a lot, as you know, with the testing and everything like that. But I'm very proud of where they are today.
You had 36 points from Creighton A over the last weekend. It's career high 22 on Saturday, 10 more on Monday. You said after the game that you feel like he's playing as well as anybody in the Lone Star Conference right now. What is the biggest difference between Creighton Avery now compared to the player he was when he first got here at the start of last season?
Well, in our program, I have an old school approach where I always thought that you have to earn the right to play, and you learn from the guy in front of you. Chauncey did a phenomenal job last year leading our whole team, but also building into Creighton Avery. And if you ever watched him in practice or even outside of off the court, he did a great job mentoring Creighton. But Creighton's have the unique ability and talents that he's been a winner his whole life. And every platform that he's been a part of, every team he's been a part of, program has had a winning record. He went to McLennan Community College. They had a very good team there. We were fortunate enough to get him here for 3 years, and he's a local kid and has done a phenomenal job leading our team and taking that next step. But to answer your question, it started with Chauncey, mentoring him, and then him learning and be willing to learn from Chauncey, and then now he's just taking it to another level.
Two of the guys I've been impressed by the most, especially of late, have been two of your freshmen, Marcus Jones and Derek Luna, who set a season high at 18 points on Monday in that win. When you were recruiting those two guys to come here to Kingsville, what were the things that led you to know that they would be ready to contribute and play an important role in this team as soon as they got here as freshmen?
Well, number one, they're families. They come from great families. That's always a prerequisite. When we're looking at kids' character, their families. But they're winning pedigree. They come from great programs. Marcus, not to quote me on this, I think Marcus maybe have lost 10 games in his high school career. And Alexander Peabody, which is a national power. The coach there's a Hall of Fame guy. His coach has coached the McDonald's All-American game, so he knows what it looks like. He's won 8 championships there, and he grew up in that environment. He had to wait his turn. He understands what a legacy is. He understands how to handle pressure, and when it's your turn, you have to perform. So he won a state championship last year. So did Derek Luna when he moved from the Valley up to Duncanville. And Derek Luna, moved back to Sharyland Pioneer, and he took them almost back to the tournament. So winning characteristics, starting at home, they got great home family lives that's supportive, that they reinforce the coaching staff. They're about pride, they're about commitment. So when they come here, they just pack their bag and they bring winning with them. And we just got to make sure that we make them, give them opportunity to get better. And that's what they've done. They've impacted winning as a freshman.
You mentioned the families that they've come from, and I've heard you talk more than once. You say that you don't just recruit student athletes to come here, you recruit families to come here and be a part of this program. And one of the things that made last season really special is you would see those families at the game on a night in, night, whether the team is at home, on the road, at the conference tournament. Those families seemed like they were always there. This season, it's a little bit more difficult for some of these families to be around the program as much as maybe they were last season. How have you and your coaches and your players tried to keep those families involved, even if they can't be at every game?
Well, you try to text them, every so often, like the academic, success we've had, and we had a team GPA, I think, of 3.26, phenomenal job by these guys, their parents they like hearing that. They like seeing the graphics that you guys done. You've done a phenomenal job, you and John in y'all's area, of putting together videos and sending it to them and keeping them attached. Even though they're not here every day, they're still a part of our program. The parents are a huge part of our program. They trust us. That's the reason why the kids come here. They come here to get an education, but they trust me and Coach Gonzalez, but they also trust you. They trust Coach Steve, everybody, Roach. They trust the institution. So when they send their child here, we have to take care of them, and we've done that. And it's easier for us as coaches to demand and push these kids to greatness when everybody else around the program, Dr. Hussey on down, takes care of these kids, the instructors and everything. So they feel comfortable with us when their kids are with us because of not just me and Coach Gonzalez, because of the Javelina Nation. And that's how you are able to attract good talent, high quality people that really want education, families that are looking for that type of family environment. That's what Javelina Nation provided. That's what it provided for me back in 1993.
How important during the recruiting process are those times you get to spend, not just with the student athletes, but with their families and with the people who have surrounded them for their entire life to that point?
Well, I mean, generally when we recruit a student athlete, we're going to watch them practice, we're going to watch them play. Quite naturally, they have talent, they have something that's going to attract them. But once we have conversations, there's things that when we're talking to them, they're probably interviewing us, and we're interviewing them. And we pay close attention if there's red flags, if quite naturally, if they don't meet the culture of what we're doing, it's not going to be a good fit. So you don't want to make those type of mistakes, So when we're talking to them, the first thing I want to know is, what are you looking for? What are you looking for long term? Not just today. Because the vision in recruiting can't start with how good you are today, because there's so much more in the tank that we're going to push you to greatness. We're going to push you past the point that you even don't want to go sometimes. But if your attitude will not allow you to do that, then it's not going to be a good fit. Because, we're going to play a lot of guys. We need guys that are unselfish. We need guys that are going to play for the guy right and left of them. Team guys, and guys that understand what we're trying to do here. We're trying to develop young men and leaders, the leaders of tomorrow. The next 4 or 5 years are great years, but if they live until they're 90 years old, they got to do something else with the rest of their life. They're not going to the NBA. So these experiences help develop the men of tomorrow, the husbands of tomorrow, the fathers of tomorrow. And that's very important to our program.
I remember I was talking to Derek Lunar last night. He said one of the first things he learned here was if you're not unselfish, if you don't play defense, well then you're not going to play for this team. How early does that message get sent to these players?
In recruiting. I mean, we talk about it. We talk about our program. We talk about every day is not going to be great. One of the things I tell every kid since I've been a head coach is that every day will not be great. And they kind of look, but I say, when I point to their families, you can't tell me that every day in your family has been great. There's been confusion, there's been highs and lows, there's been situations in your family, but what keeps you together is God and the love that you have for each other. And before you leave here, I tell them, we will be able to look at each other and honestly say we love each other because we've been through so much. Now, that's probably another layer that other people don't want to touch, but we're willing to do that here. We're willing to go that extra mile. There's a chance if you're not playing good, that there's retribution. You see Marcus Jones, he had a DNP the third game. Well, he's the MVP the next night because he comes in and gets 3 threes, 9 points, and he gives us a spark, and now he played 30 minutes. He's playing a lot of minutes. So Our program is built on production. It's built on being an everyday guy. But think about this, Mark. When you leave and go into your professional world, which every kid at this level is going to have to do, who wouldn't want a guy that's not that has commitment, they're loyal, they're hardworking, they have talents, they're great with people? Who wouldn't want a person like that?
Very few people.
Exactly. So that's what you have. That's not. Those are prerequisite, non-negotiables to be in our program. So it's relative to life, is what I guess I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? So
yes.
why am I allowing you to do those things that's not going to make you a better person later in life? And we get to it quicker than most people. Not saying that that we're the best at it, but I think that's what kids learn to appreciate and respect. That we're looking out for their best interests long term.
Interesting. I remember I had this conversation, I think, with at least one of your former players, because I know how hard you are on your players sometimes. And I asked him, I said, is it difficult dealing with that? And he said, no. And he goes, that's how you know he cares. If he didn't care, well, then he wouldn't be hard on you. He'd let you just go and be mediocre. But that's how you know he cares, is because he wants you to get better at this.
Yeah, well, the truth. All great players, I think anybody want to be successful, want to know the truth. And I think, sometimes with the social media element and everything, everybody wants to feel good. Which is, that's a part of a development. That builds confidence. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have the truth and you don't know the difference between a good job and a mediocre job and a bad job, basically you're just walking around with no standard. So we try to make people know, hey, here's the standard. When you hit the standard, you know it. When you don't hit the standard, you know it. So consistency, there's only one way to get to consistency, is you got to be the same way every day, and you got to treat everybody the same. You'll see me coach Creighton Avery the same way that you'll see me coach Marcus Jones, the same way you see me coach, whoever on this team, because at the end of the day, if you wear our uniform and our colors, you're held accountable. So that's why I say some kids can't handle that. Some parents don't like their kids to be held accountable. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. When I came here, and I know there's 1994, a long time ago, but my parents, they did all that at home. They taught me and my sister how to work, how to buy in, and when we left at home, I represented my family name. My father's gone, and every time I take the floor, I think about him and what he taught me about how to show up and be a professional every day, how to care, how to give a man an honest day's work. And that's how I coach. I coach like that every day. So I'm probably a blue-collar coach, coaching the white-collar world, if you call coaching white-collar, but at the end of the day, I think it works.
5-1 so far with UT Permian Basin next on the docket. They'll be here Friday and Saturday. What are the things that need to happen for your team to make this weekend successful?
Get 1% better. Put last night's game behind us. We highlighted the good points, and we're very, fortunate and elated about the win. But getting refocused on the new opponent coming in. They have a good team. Coach Newman and I go way back. He's an old JUCO guy, and has always been a winner wherever he's been. And he's got a good team, and they're coming into, our place to play. And we got to get refocused. And I think when you look at the Nick Sabans and the people that consistently win, no matter if you like the way they coach or not, why do they win? Because they know how to humble their kids and get them locked in and focused on the next thing. That's what makes them great. And that's what I'm interested in here, is trying to get our program on a consistent level, not just in the conference, but regionally, also nationally. And you can't do that, being up and down. You have to be more consistent.
Well, Coach, we'll certainly see you again on the court this weekend. Thank you again for the time. Much appreciated.
Hey, thank you for everything that you guys are doing, and Javelina Nation, stay safe.
But this team has started off looking more offensively minded than most teams under their current head coach, and a good start from Derek Luna, who drops in a three. Last season when these two teams met in Kingsville, the Javelinas won 96-62. Was their most lopsided victory of the year. Snell racing quickly into the front court. This is it to Luna, who will try and answer. Yes, sir. Has hired a coach who knows a lot about winning basketball. He proved that in his previous stops at Tarleton, at Ranger College, as a three from Majors goes through. Patterson to Flowers. Left side, Majors into the corner. Jordan Wilson for a three. It's good. Javelina's not missing right now. Wilson to Majors in the corner for three. Tamook cannot miss right now. Avery found Thomas waiting for him in the paint. Instead, dished it out to Luna for three. Ball stolen by Creighton Avery. An uncontested layup. 4 points for Avery. Flowers back to Luna, left open again. Derek Luna with a new season high at 12 points. Jones wants to go inside for the bucket and the foul. Wilson out to Avery. Avery will try for three, and he hits it. And Creighton Avery is in double figures. Luna going to go past Pfaffinger, gets it to go. He's got a game high 15. Patterson back to the freshman. Majors will try his hand again from deep and gets it. And Jake Majors has a new career high with 9 points. And Tamook continuing to move the ball here in the second half. Estelle does not like stagnant play. 3 more for Derek Luna. 18 for Derek Luna. Javelinas with under 6.5 to play here in half number 2. On their way, it certainly appears right now, to their 3rd straight win. Wilson, count it, and one. And that'll do it. Tamook starts their home season 3-0. They start the Lone Star Conference schedule 5-1. And they have now won 3 in a row, an 84-46 victory over Texas A&M International.
Welcome back to the Javelina Coaches Show, and we're joined now by the head Javelina track and field and cross country coach, Ryan Dall. Coach, thanks for taking the time out today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark, for having me.
I'm just curious, season's just about to get started for your indoor track and field team, and this was a team that had kind of an abrupt end to their season at Nationals last year. How anxious are your student athletes right now to finally get back to competition?
I think they're all very anxious. Our athletes not only, missed some of them the national championship, we missed the whole outdoor season. And then our freshmen that were in high school last year, they also pretty much missed their whole season. So, I think everyone's chomping at the bit at this point to get some competition in.
This season will look a little different with all the COVID protocols, the testing and the social distancing and everything that is surrounding trying to keep everybody safe and healthy. How much does that add to the normal challenges you guys would be facing during a season?
Well, I think more than anything it puts a lot of pressure on our trainers, and we have a great trainer, Iana. She does a great job, and she's been working really hard, and I think a lot of those protocols are more about them doing more, so we'll probably have to travel with more trainers than we have before to get all the testing and stuff done, prior to our competitions, especially if we stay overnight. So as far as the athletes go, I think the main thing with them is just trying to be safe, and I think the hard part is that they really can't have a normal college experience while all this is going on, because they have to kind of stay to themselves. So, hopefully they do that and we can get through this season and have a good one.
Now your indoor schedule was recently released, and Javelina fans, if anyone wants to go check that out, it is up right now on JavelinaAthletics.com. You finally locked in your indoor schedule. How happy are you with the list of events you've been able to put on the docket for this season?
Well, it's going to be a little challenging. I think with there's only 3 indoor tracks in Texas, and so they're all at Division I schools, and so it's been a little challenging trying to find meets. We'll probably have to travel a little bit more than we have in the past to get into some meets, and we probably won't have as many as we've had. But it's kind of a week-to-week basis. We have some meets on our schedule. Right now we're looking at our opener at Pitt State. And I think that meet's going to go ahead and go because it's pretty much before school starts, so there shouldn't be any issues there. But then as we go along, it really just depends what happens during that week. You know, hopefully everything goes well, not only with our team, but with whoever's hosting the meet at their place, so we can go and have a meet. But you know, it's going to be kind of week to week, and just like things have been normally. And hopefully, you know, we get to the conference championship and we've had at least a couple meets under our belt, and we can have a good showing there. Yeah,
you mentioned how week to week everything is right now, and it'd be very easy to kind of sit and look at the schedule and wonder how many of those events you're going to get to participate in, but I'm sure that's not what you want or what you want your student athletes to be doing during this time. How much of your job right now is trying to help your student athletes filter out those distractions and stay focused and not worry about the things that they can't control?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, you know, because again, like we said in the beginning, they all want to compete. They're all anxious to compete. But, you know, we just try to stress to them to take it 1 week at a time, you know, and that's all we can do at this point. And just say, okay, we're going to Pitt State, do our best we can there, try to have a great meet, come back, and then hopefully go to a meet the next week or the week after, and just prepare for that in between. And in the meantime, you know, we're always trying to just be ready. I think that's the main thing, just be ready when the opportunity comes, because you may not get a lot of opportunities, for at least for indoor. You know, I think outdoor will be okay, or certainly a lot easier than indoor.
I'm talking with head Javelina track and field and cross country coach Ryan Dall. One of the guys who had the best indoor season for you last year was Jonathan Harper. He went into indoor nationals with his eyes on a possibility of trying to pick up a national championship. What are the things, and he has an opportunity to come back and compete and strive for those same goals this year, what are the qualities that have made him so successful for your program?
Yeah, you know, I really think John would have won that championship if we had had that meet. He was really, really ready to go, and everything was just lining up for it, and I know he was disappointed in that. But John, you know, he's a special guy. I mean, you know, he came here as a walk-on, just worked his tail off. I mean, he's a great athlete, and, you know, I think the main thing was we just had to find the right fit for him, and, you know, the decathlon and the multis are the perfect fit for him. He has a good mindset for those events, and he's able to, you know, get through those things mentally, be very tough, which is what you need as well, besides just being a tremendous athlete. He's very coachable. He's come a long way in a lot of his events. He works very hard. And both him and Dean Wallace, you know, they're great training partners for each other. They both are very hard workers, and you know, he's John and both him and Dean are, you know, they've just been tremendous to coach, and they're great leaders and role models for our team.
Yeah, Dean Wallace coming off a Lone Star Conference championship in that event. You mentioned both student athletes came here as walk-ons and have had an enormous amount of success. Who are the student athletes you look at as members of this year's team who have an opportunity to kind of take a big step forward in the way that Dean and Jonathan did when they first got here?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say right now. We have a lot of talented people on our team. You know, I think Eamon Zahafi coming back, he's due, I think, for a national championship. He came very close, and when we hosted in 2018, he finished second in the 800. You know, so I think he's someone that can certainly step up and be a national champion. And we have some really good young athletes. We have a young man, Michael Semihamba from Dallas. He's looked really good through the fall. Taylor Cheney from Houston has looked really good through the fall. And so, you know, those guys, you know, I think can do some really good things, both in our conference and maybe at the national level, and certainly help out our relays. Where Todd Nicholas is back in the sprints, and, you know, he's also someone who has the ability to really step up and do some big things for us. So I'm looking forward to seeing him compete. You know, like I said, it's been a long time, and so, you know, I think you it's easy to kind of forget, you know, how good some of these guys are or can be. And so I'm just happy to hopefully get out there and see what they can do.
It sounds like it'll be an enormous relief for you when you finally get to see these student athletes competing again soon.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, they've been out there working so hard, and we've practiced all fall. We only missed 1 week, you know, because of COVID. And other than that, you know, they've been really working hard, you know, with the thought in mind that they are going to compete, you know. And with the way things ended last year, you know, I think it's going to be really just a big relief, you know, to get out there and be able to compete again, because that's what we're, you know, training to do. You know, that's why we work hard every day out there, is to be able to go to meets and have fun. That's the fun part, you know. Nobody really loves training, you know, so without that payoff, you know, training can get very tedious. So, you know, I'm excited for them. And just being a fan of track, you know, I haven't been to a meet this is probably the longest stretch of my whole life, you know, that I haven't been to a track meet. So it's kind of foreign to me as well.
I know you always have high goals set for this program and for your student athletes, but what are the things that, or what do you guys need to do to try and reach those goals and be successful this year?
We just need to, you know, just keep working hard, keep developing some of our young guys, and keep our veterans healthy, and you know, just competing at a high level. I think we have a really good mix right now of young, talented guys and older veterans that, you know, have been there and done some great things and been All-Americans and things like that. So we have a lot of talent. You know, the coaching staff has done well. Coach Sampson, Coach Petroci, they've been doing great jobs with their event groups as well. I'm looking forward to see some of those athletes, like I said, like Eamon and our throwers. We have a great throws group. You know, we brought in some good guys there. We have some great guys returning. I mean, we could score 5 or 6 guys, I think, in our conference in the shot put out of 8, I think, the way they've been going. So, you know, I'm excited to just get everybody out there, again, just to a meet, competing as a team, you know, and putting it all together, because I don't get to see the throwers all the time. I don't get to see the mid-distance, distance runners all the time. So, you know, and as a team, during practice, we're separate a lot, you know, with our practices and people and doing different events. So, you know, it's going to be fun to just get everybody together, get to a meet, and just have everybody pulling for each other and getting to see, you know, all the great talent that we have on our team, because it's easy for, you know, like a sprinter to not understand how good our throwers are or something like that, you know, because they really don't see them at practice all the time. So, you know, I'm looking forward to that aspect of it as well.
I think we're all looking forward to the chance to see your student athletes compete again, Coach. Best of luck this season. Thank you again for the time.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
We'll take a quick break. Come right back. This is the Javelina Coaches Show.
Sure, looking for a lane to the basket. Almost found it. Threw it out. Pena trying to answer. She does. Cherry wanted to go right into the paint. Finds Janessa Payne. Just tosses up the 3. Schroeder back to Haley. Haley will try her luck again from beyond the arc and swishes it. First quarter edge and rebounds, 13-8. The steal made by Cherry. He's going to head in on Blanco for the layup. It's good. Schroeder gets it back inside. Left wide open is Williams. Good job to find the open player, and Williams makes it count. To Pena, trying to get the Payne inside, but Watkins playing good defense on the Temuque forward. Sweeping to the basket, in for 2 more for Brianna Pena. She's in double figures again with 11. Into Temuque after earning NJCAA All-American status at Hill College. Payne with a 3. In double figures for the 4th straight game, finds Payne. Javelinas could use a 3, and that one's good. 9 for Payne, and all of a sudden it's a 5-point game with 6.5 to play. Temuque trying to cut in to this deficit. The shot gets it. 15 for Pena. Schroeder to Cherry for a 3. Good.
Welcome back to the Javelina Coaches Show, and once again we'll be bringing this Javelina Coaches Show to you every week as long as we have sports here in 2021. And our third guest, the head women's basketball coach here in Kingsville, that's Michael Madrid. Coach Madrid, appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, appreciate you having us. Excited about this opportunity, excited about the Coaches Show, and just look forward to sharing this with our fan base.
Obviously, it was a difficult weekend for you guys. International. What were your main takeaways from weekend, I guess, number 2 in this season for you guys?
You know, I think the biggest positive, number 1, is that we're playing, and that's what we continue to tell our players. You know, throughout this pandemic, there's a lot of teams, unfortunately, that have not played yet, and just having the opportunity to play was a win for us, was a win for our university, for our campus, for our athletic department. But as far as our team, just having the opportunity to play and get some game day reps, I guess, if you will. You know, you can practice as much as you want, and we try to talk to our players all the time about practice versus game speed, things like that. And so for them to be able to see it on film and see what we're talking about as far as how hard we need to play, it has been good. But you know, we have played hard, we've competed. Unfortunately, the ball hasn't dropped, you know, the way we'd like for it to drop. But moving towards the future, if we'll continue to play hard and do this and defend the way that we've done, we'll be in some games. You
mentioned how different, obviously, those game day reps are than practice. What have you learned about your team through those game day reps so far?
That they're competitive. We've learned that they're super competitive. We've learned that, you know, they take losing very difficult. They all want to get in the gym and get better and get up more shots. And so just looking to help them continue to grow, looking to help them to, you know, kind of go through this conference schedule the best that we can. But they're just a fun bunch to be around. Genuinely love each other, and they all, you know, are each other's biggest fans, I guess, if you will. And so they're fun to be around. Hopefully fans continue to watch us play and see this team grow and develop.
You mentioned how competitive, how much this team battled, especially this past weekend. And I thought it was a really, almost kind of a, I thought it was a really interesting point in time when you started the fourth quarter. I know we talked about this on Monday, but you guys were down 11 in the second quarter, came all the way back to tie, but fourth quarter you guys were back by that same deficit. And that can be demoralizing for a lot of teams. They might pack it in because, you know, you work so hard to tie the game, then all of a sudden you look up, you're back in the same spot. But how impressed were you by the fact that your team obviously didn't pack it in that fourth quarter, continue to fight for those last 10 minutes?
I think it's just a credit to them. I think it's a credit to them as individuals. You know, we've mentioned many times through the recruiting process that we wanted to recruit winners, and you know, these players understand how to win. They know how to win, and so I think what we saw in both games with international was just some experience versus inexperience, like I mentioned, and you know, a more experienced team can kind of weather the storm. I think they can go through not making some shots and be fine, and we struggled with that a little bit. But the game day experience has been, and we'll learn from it, and we'll move forward with our next game.
Brianna Pena, in the top 10 of the conference right now in scoring. She's been in double figures every game for you guys so far. What that she's doing that's making her so effective offensively? She's
so level-headed. I mean, nothing really rattles her. You know, you can't really tell if she's excited, you can't really tell if she's down. If you watch her, her face never changes, it stays the same. And so she has just been a tremendous leader for us on the floor. She's come in as a junior college transfer, and that was really one of the main reasons we targeted her and Mia Cherry, was they have some experience at the perimeter position. We felt like they could help our younger guards get better, but Brianna's just super solid. She understands what her strengths and understands what her weaknesses are, and she's just been fun to be around and fun to coach, and we're just thankful that she's on our team.
And how important is it to have experienced players like Brianna or Mia or Anastasia Mickens on a team where you have so many young freshmen? How important is it to have those players who, like you said, are level-headed and kind of set the, I guess, the rudder for this team when you have a squad that has as many freshmen as you do?
It's huge because they have, you know, college practice experience, they have college game experience, they understand the importance of preparing mentally and physically for a game, and so they've been incredible. I can't even explain to you how incredible they've been in terms of in practice, teaching our young players, talking to them, competing against them, showing them exactly what you need to look like when you're playing hard and how it feels and things like that. And so they've been fantastic. Brianna's basketball IQ is through the roof. She really understands the game, and so she's been helping our younger players understand it as well. And so she'll continue to get better. She's got room to grow, just like Mia Cherry has room to grow, and our freshmen clearly have room to grow. And so I think the future's bright for Javelina women's basketball.
How well do you expect this team to do with bouncing back as Permian comes in this week?
Oh, they're so resilient. You know, yesterday, you know, we lifted and they came in and got up shots on their own, and they were in there getting up shots, talking. You know, they understand the things that we did well. They understand the things that we didn't do well. And, you know, our mentality is 1-0, and that's what we're going to do today in practice this morning, is go 1-0 and prepare for UT Permian Basin, and we'll get ready to play them on Friday.
You mentioned when I asked you on Monday, you said, what we're going to do this week, we're going to focus on us. And how often is that the focus for you guys when your team goes into practice?
Probably more times than not. You know, even in game day preps, we focused more on what we do from a defensive standpoint. We defend certain things a certain way, and that's the way we're going to defend it, regardless of who we're playing. This is how we're going to do things, and our players understand that, and then they've bought into that. And so we continue to do that every single day. And so if we can continue to improve from an individual standpoint, it obviously helps us from a team standpoint. And so they're excited, they're ready to get on the floor, and just looking forward to getting out there and practicing with them.
You don't have to wait very long for the next opponent. Like I said, Permian will be here on Friday, only about a 3-day break for your team. How excited are you to get back on the floor again?
Oh, extremely excited. You know, I think teams get a lot better, obviously, in practice, but you can't make up for in-game experience. And so I think this is going to be a team that the more we play, the better we'll be. You know, unfortunately, our game against Angelo State, our 2 games against Angelo State got postponed. I think that kind of set us back a little bit leading into the international week because we had close to 3 weeks off. Where we had played really well against Arkansas Fort Smith for the most part. We were prepping and ready for Angelo State, and then you kind of have a little setback. And so that's something that everybody in the country is having to deal with. But the fact that we get to play immediately and play 2 games in a row on our home floor where we're comfortable playing is exciting.
Well, Coach, we'll see you again soon. Best of luck this weekend. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you.
And thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of the Javelina Coaches Show here in 2021. We'll be back every week with different guests, and we hope to have each head coach who's a member of Javelina Athletics here on over the course of the season this year. But thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week on the Javelina Coaches Show.